'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through the house every creature was stirring, even the scalper mouse. They hung the stockings with gentle care, just to find out there's no PC parts in there. Wah, wah, wah. That sucks. But anyway, let's get the party started. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome back once again to JJ's PC Build. You know, it's JJ with you once again. First time here, hit that, subscribe button. Hit that like button. Don't forget about the notification bell so you know when we post the next video or live stream. So, obviously, you guys got the point when I did my opening there. What really sucks is that finding out that they're treating Amazon and probably even Newegg and some other of these companies like a target to consumers to screw them. So, hello there, fake frames. Good to see you. And don't let frame chasers be a Grinch and steal your frames. Yeah, true. Oh yeah, it's selling for that on eBay, but this is where we're going to target. You know, when you get the big box stores, I can see the used market, okay? If it's selling for that price on the used market, that's pretty good. But it seems it's pushing everybody over to that market. When I'm on Amazon, let's go to the action screen, and I'll show you what I got cooking. So, just to first say, let me bring it up. Okay, this is what I'm seeing right here. And this is Amazon. This is a big box store. You're seeing this here. You're seeing this here. And you know, with having only one star, that's got to be fake as hell. Because over here, you got 1 star. And you got 1 star right here. But if you go upwards, you can see a 7600X3D for $308. That's a better deal. So, you know, coming down, looking through it, even the 7800X3D is $610. I remember when that was $308 back, what, last year? If I remember right. Probably you guys can re-quote me on that. But look, the 7900X is $314. And they got a 5800X3D AM4 processor. AM4. Oh, and don't forget your drink and snacks. I got mine. This is the special of the day. Arizona sweet tea. So, let's see what everybody's talking about. Amazon doesn't sell new 5800X3Ds, but they did, but this isn't new. This right here, you would see it be a refurbished price, but look what they're selling it as. Usually refurbished down here is where you see the refurbished, but you're seeing it right here. I don't see no refurbished, so that's a scam. I can tell you that's a scam right there. So 5700G, $184. Really? That should be below $100 by now. I mean, look at this. Another scam. 5800X3D. Look at this. 5800X3D. 5800. Look at all this. This right here. I'm just telling everybody, don't be scammed by this. Okay? Because when they discontinued the 5800X3D, and like Mr. Fake Frame says, they're selling it over on eBay for used prices. So don't get scammed by paying this price right here. This is ridiculous price. I mean, I wouldn't even pay $400 for this at this point. Believe it or not. If it was down to maybe $175, $200, maybe. But I still got my 5700X. I don't need a 5800X3D anyway. But I'm bringing this up because I don't want to see anybody get scammed. Okay, guys, this is the year to where they're going to scam on what? The CPUs? They did the GPUs and they found out they can't get any more money out of that. Now they're going for the CPUs. Then they're going to be going for the SSDs. They're already scamming the system RAM. So don't get stuck in that buyer's remorse. If you got system RAM already, AM5 or AM4, DDR5 or DDR4, hang on to it. And you can get yourself a cheap motherboard and upgrade with the cheap motherboard. And processors, CPU processors, I would really be careful. This point, I would really be careful in what you're buying. I mean, this is just totally ridiculous. I mean, they got a 5900X 12-core 24-thread right here for $332.22 used. So I can tell you that's not going to be a scam, because it's got more 5 stars than anything, 89%. So it's going to be a good one for you. 5800X3D, they probably don't have it. 5800X3D, look, they're selling it for used price $900. Ridiculous scare. I mean, you get a 5500 for 79 bucks. You can get that brand new. So let's see if we can roll down here. Let's go another round. Again, more scam. Look at all this scam. I mean, that's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. I mean, let's go another page. Oh man, $833. This is just totally 5600 GT. Okay, they got it for $149. 7600 X3D is too expensive. Excuse me. 9900X is cheaper than the 70. Look at this. $369 compared to $469. $100 cheaper for a 12 core compared to an 8 core. Oh, but let me rephrase this. It has a motherboard with it. So for $469. But if I remember right, Micro Center was selling it for $369. About the same price as 9900X. They got a 5800X for $286. That's still too expensive. I would never buy that. Look at this. Ultra 5 desktop processor. An Intel processor. 225, 10 cores. 6P core, 4E cores, up to 4.9 gigahertz, $146. I don't know about that, but yeah, it seems a little light. Like I said, we're gonna see how many scams are gonna be on Amazon. Then we're gonna shift our way over to Newegg. We're gonna shift our way over to Newegg. Look at this. A B5, look at this. No way in hell. Okay, look at this. Another scam, $534. Look what they're doing with the motherboards. That's a B550 plus 2. They don't even put the actual name on it. And then they said supports blah blah blah. Don't get hooked on this. As a B550 motherboard, you can get brand new for less than $100. You can get it for like 70 or 80 bucks. Don't get hooked on this. So, one more page and we'll go to Newegg. Let's see. 9800X3D, $739. I don't know. that just seems a little too pricey to me. I know what you guys are going to say. You know, it comes with the B850 Gaming Plus Wi-Fi motherboard. Same motherboard I got, but this is $740, and I don't think I'm going to pay that. Not for that price. No. I mean, you can get, look at this. I mean, a 5955WX is 16 core, 32 threads. I wouldn't even pay $900 for that, because you can get 9950X3D for cheaper. 9800X3D, $800. 5800X3D, tough RAM, scam. To me, I feel it's a scam. See, it says DDR4 3600 megahertz, 32 gigabytes. It's got a 5060 Ti, 8 gigabyte. No, hell no. Not for that price. That's still too steep. Okay, let's, well, 7980, 64 core, 128 threads. I don't think you guys are going to spend that kind of money. Okay, let's go over there to Newegg and see what they got cooking. Let's see. Desktop CPUs. AM. Well, no, let's leave it desktop CPUs. So that way we'll get all the full Monty of it all. Oh, look at this, 5700G for $200, 5600 for $143. Let's see, 5700X, $169. That's about right. 7500F, $145. Newegg seems to be selling it for a better price. 9950X, $600, still too steep. 9600X, $214. This seems to be more reasonable. $479 for a 9800X3D. A 285K is $579, $100 more than the 9800X3D. 265K, that seems like it's a nice sweet spot CPU for $309. That's not too bad. Hello there, Dr. Blitz. Good to see you, my friend. I stand by Nova Lake. I'll never change. Gotcha. Yeah, but they got a 265K for $309. $310. That's not a bad price. It's an Arrow Lake, but yeah, I see what you mean about Nova Lake, but you know, whatever tickles your fancy, right? $414 for 7800X3D. That's a little too high. 3700X. You guys like a 3700X? It's a 4.4 gigahertz max boost chip for $116. It's got some stars on there. Oh, it's got some eggs in there. It's got like 4.5 eggs. 7950X3D, $650. That's about right. 357, 358 on the 7800X3D. It's kind of reasonable, but it needs to come down a little bit. Let's see. Yeah, not too bad. Now the thing is Newegg seems to be keeping a cap on everything. That I'm pretty impressed with. They got the 225F for $157. It's the Arrow Lake 10 core one. Not like Amazon, they were selling it for like what, $500-$600. Amazon seems to be turning out to be like the new eBay because they can't get their pricing under control. You know, 265 KF 300, and it's got a $30 off, guys. So that means that makes this $270. $270. And this one, the 265 KF, will square off with the 9700X. Good price. $30 less. Well, actually, the 9700X is a little bit more. So you're looking at about maybe $85 more than this one right here. Plus, you can get the motherboards for a decent deal. That's something to think about. Let's see. 2K extra a month, tickle my fancy. Got you there, man. I would rather run Raptor Lake than Arrow Lake any day of the week. Well, I don't blame you. Look at it this way. If I were to take and get a motherboard with, let's say, this one right here, the 265 KF, right? And I would get CU DIMM for that, and I would boost it up to whatever it can handle, because it has that extra clock that's on the RAM to balance it. You might be able to get away with it. And this one right here, this 245 KF, they got it at, okay, I'm going to get the calculator out for this. Okay, so what they got here is $250, right? Minus an $80 rebate. It's $170 for a 245 KF. So it's got 6 P cores, 8 E cores for $170. That's about the same price of the 5700X with the rebate. And it says a promo code too. It's not a rebate, it's a promo code. So basically, you'll get the code with it, you put it in, and guess what? I don't think that's a bad deal. I mean, you can't beat it. I mean, with an $80 off promo code, you can't beat that. CU DIMMs are going to be absurd to buy right now, whereas you can get 14700K and a DDR4 motherboard for way less. I do agree. Look, fake frames, I'm not disagreeing with that, okay? I know that. But the thing is if you look at the price of DDR4 right now, it's about almost the same as before the price rise on DDR5. So basically, to get 32 gigs, you're going to have to spend over a couple $100. Knowing back before this craze, it cost like $130 for 64 gigs. So you're getting half the amount of RAM. I mean, I'm glad I got 64 gigs because I could split this in half and do me another motherboard with two 32 gig motherboards. You know, I can get me another DDR4 motherboard, split my RAM in half. Instead of using 4 sticks, I can use 2. I got 4 sticks in my computer right here. I still got 2 sets of 16 gigs of RAM sitting on my shelf. So I could build, 2 other systems with 16 gigs and put a decent graphics card with it and still game with it. So yeah, I do understand. But there's some people that didn't get in on it before, this craziness all happened. So yeah, I do understand. I really do. But it's still crazy though. I mean, they're selling the 70 KB Lake i7 7700K for $100. I don't even think y'all want to think about that one. Probably could. I mean, you got the 7700X here for $300. I mean, and that one right up there was $270 if you think about it, because it's got an $80 off promo code, wherever it went. Right here. It's a 245 KF, 14 core processor for $170. I mean, it's not rocket science. I think it's not rocket science. But yeah, you're right. You can get decent deals. I mean, if you want to go 12th gen, 13th or 14th gen, I mean, $309 for a 12900K. 12900K used to be the workhorse before the 13th and 14th gen. Used to be the utmost everybody was using for benchmarking and everything else. So even for $309, it's not a bad deal. Still not a bad deal. So yeah, 12500. They want to give you H&R Block with that one, software. Okay, let's fling one more and we'll take it back to the desktop. Free Cooler Master Thermal Paste with purchase. Ooh, 12900 KF. Oh, you get free thermal paste with it. Wow, I feel special. I really do. I feel special. They're trying to push 12th gen. I can see that. 5800X. Be better to get 12th gen. 5900X. I wouldn't pay this price for. No, that's too much. Even the 5600X is too much, because 5700X I only paid $169 for it. That's too expensive. I am really particular when it comes to picking CPUs, guys. I am really picky. I mean seriously picky. I look for the best deals I could find, I think. And I know, Mr. Fake Frames, you say 13th and 14th gen are going to be better on DDR4. I do agree with that. But you're still leaving a little bit of performance on the table, because their first design was AM5. AM4 was an option. But you're still leaving a little bit of performance on the table with that. But even though later on down the road you can always change the motherboard when the price of RAM comes down, but it's a good idea if you want to go that route. But all depends on what you want to do, what kind of build you want to do. All I'm doing is I'm looking to see if there's anything that's going to be great or not. And so far I've seen a couple great ones. So let's go ahead and go back to the main screen and we'll talk about it. Alright. Guys, I know price of RAM is really, really, really becoming a pain in the neck. I do understand that, okay? I'm not shunning away from that, but There's better options than what you're going to see on. Trust me. Right now, Amazon looks like a scalper mania, like it does on some of the peeps over there on eBay. But Mr. Fake Frames goes over there on eBay and he shops and he knows that eBay better than I do. So I do agree with him if he can find the deals way less over there. But it's a risk when you're buying used CPUs. It's a risk when you're buying used GPUs. It's a risk when you're buying used motherboards, used RAM, and everything else. It's a risk. But if you want to go on to like Java, you can always look on java.gg and see if there's something there. You can take take a poke at eBay and see what you come up with, but you get a 30-day money-back guarantee so you can test your stuff, and if it doesn't work, then you can return it. So you take your risk of tying your money up for a couple weeks, just going through all that hassle, but that's up to you if you want to tie into the used market. I mean, I never shun anybody away from the used market. If you want to tie yourself up into the used market, good luck with that. Because I do not tie myself up there. If I do it locally. I don't tie myself up in e-waste, eBay or Java GG. Some people go over there, Me, on the other hand, I'd rather go into the reclaim stores and go shopping there to see what they got in PC parts and everything else. Low cost parts that you can pick up physically without having shipping and everything else. They do have bunches of reclaim stores all over the United States. So if you want to take your poke in there, you can also take and go into a Goodwill store or, Salvation Army thrift store. You can do many of your diligence to go looking through all these stores to see if you want to take a poke there first before you decide to buy on these big box store sites or these used part deal sites. Take your take your pick. You have a whole wide range of picking things. A whole wide range of picking parts. Me, I would start at the reclaim store and then work my way down. And then if I didn't find what I was looking for, then I would start my way on eBay. And if I still didn't find what I was looking for, I would go java.gg. And if I still didn't find anything, I'll go locally on the marketplace for Facebook, which I don't recommend, by the way. But you never know. You could get a sweetheart deal out of, the marketplace on Facebook. Especially if it's local, you can pick it up and you can go from there. I just got my Asus TUF 4080 from a friend that I got used for $700. That's not a bad deal. That's not a bad deal at all. I did end up repasting the GPU core, though, since it did have high hotspot temps. Yeah. And that's another good point, too, bringing it up. If you get a used GPU, but, and you plug it in and you got high temp hotspots and stuff like that, when you look on GPU Z, if you don't know how to repaste something, I would take it to a tech that you can trust and have them do it. But if you want to take the risk, it's a big risk, and you got to be very, 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 very careful in what you do. And sometimes if you got rip pads, you got to be able to, gauge the pads. A lot of people don't know how to gauge the pads, so if you don't know how to gauge the pads, gauge the pads. I got one. So if I ever do want to, have to repaste a CPU, I know how to gauge the pads. So I always keep that on hand too. Hello there, Blastico. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to the live stream. I got 96 gigabytes DDR5 kit. Nice. About 6 months ago, I feel like I got away with murder. Well, you pretty much did at this point, my friend, because depends on how long this high prices keep up. Some people say 6 to 8 months. Some people are declaring 2 years. You know what I'm going to say? These companies are not going to be able to maintain these high prices forever. So, and if they do, they're going to be taking out of their pocket. See, every time they don't get to sell to the community, they're losing money. And believe it or not, even though they're selling to the data centers and everything else, that's going to dry up. And they're going to have no place to sell their product. So they're going to dry up that's going to dry up on that end. And where are they going to sell? They're going to sell back to the consumers. But they're going to do it at a low price. Because they have no other choice, because they're overstocked. Because of all this data center crap that they're doing. So I'm just waiting for this to happen. And I know it's going to happen. And when it does happen, and that price drops like a hammer, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be right there buying everything I can up. And I'm going to be stockpiling it too. So I'm just waiting for them to drop that price, and I'm going to drop the hammer. Simple as that. Why would I take it to tech and just do it myself? No, fake friends, I wasn't talking about you, man. You know how to do those things. But there's consumers out there that don't know how to do those things. That was just a recommendation to them. Not you. I know you know how to do it. But it was a recommendation to them. Because I would not want to put them in that spot of opening up their GPU and paying all that money for it and turn around that they screw something up because they knocked a component off or something, and then they're stuck spending a buttload of money trying to get it fixed. I'm not going to put them in that spot. It's just a recommendation to the ones that don't know how to do that. You know how to do that, that's fine. But there's some people in this world that don't know how to do that. So it's a recommendation to them to have somebody else do it. If you understand me by that. So. Oh, there's Zap. Good to see you. Welcome to the channel. Ordered HP Omen 16L pre-built port swap from my existing 4060 pre-built. Well, let me know how that goes. I'm not too much of a fan of Omen. I can tell you that. HP Omen I'm not a fan of. It's not that, I don't like their pre-builts. It's the fact of, with some of their pre-builts are proprietary, and I really don't try to steer everybody away from the proprietary. If they want one, that's up to them. I'm not, that's up to you. But look at the future and see how far you're going to get down the road with that. Especially if the power supply blows up or something. I mean, once the warranty runs out, what are you going to be left with? A proprietary system that uses a 10-pin power supply? It's not feasible. And it's definitely not economic-wise. I believe that. Hello there, Vanity Logger. Good to see you. I don't understand Amazon PC marketing. They don't sell what you want. 5700X3D, etc. Yeah, hey, look. Van Hager, listen. That's the reason why I was saying Newegg might be a better deal. That's what we looked at earlier. We looked at Amazon, we looked at Newegg, you know, Newegg looked like it was. See, Newegg is more, to the people. Amazon, for some reason, fell off the rocker, especially putting all that, that those scam CPUs out there. And Amazon's having a really bad time with all the scams that are for the RAM and stuff like that. Right now, I'm just not recommending Amazon to anybody, but I'm showing you what's happening over there. And a lot of it's scams. A lot of it is scams right now. So with Newegg, they kind of tighten the belt on their sellers. So it looks like the prices are pretty steady over on Newegg. I would recommend Newegg over anything at this point. So, for sure this PC is for playing PS3, Xbox 360 games. $540 Omen. Well, you can't beat that. It's $540 then. Depends on the parts that you got inside of it. Maybe the CPU and the RAM could be later on down the road. You can plug into a different motherboard, get a different case. Could think about that. There might be upgrade options you might have. It all depends. But if you're just playing an emulator on it, then, playing your PS3 and Xbox, that's not a bad deal then. It's not a bad deal. So later on down the road, if say the motherboard burns out or the power supply burns out, you have options. Hopefully. Van Hager says, plus they hiked the prices just hours ahead. I saw a 5700G spike from 161 to 180 to 240. Yeah, you're right. You are right about that. I paid $169 back 2 years ago for my 5700X. That's in this PC right here. That was 2 years ago. And now they got it, what, $229? That's ridiculous. Back about a week ago, I looked at a 5800 GT, and it was $168. Now it's over, what, $300 or $400? It's ridiculous. I do agree with you. Amazon's just totally ridiculous on their prices. Newegg went up a little bit on theirs, but you can see that, they got prominent sellers for their CPUs and stuff. But make sure it is from the Newegg warehouse. Okay? Because then you'll know that Newegg is on top of things. But if you get it from a private seller, good luck. I don't trust private sellers anymore. Especially all this scamming that's going on right now. I just think that, if these companies would drop the hammer on the scammers, all this would go away, prices would be just fine, and people would be happy again. They just need to drop the hammer on the scammer. Oh, it's $200? Yesterday I seen it was almost $300. They must have dropped it. So, Try Again says, good to see you. Welcome to the channel, by the way. I bought used pre-built for $200 with the Ryzen 5600G. 16 gigabytes of 3200 megahertz CL16, probably, at 16 gigabytes. 512 gigabyte NVMe SSD, decent motherboard and PSU, probably a 650 or 700 maybe. Choice between 360 and a used new. Some RAM, CPU, 5060 Ti, 16 new. I did the wrong choice. Yeah, 16 gigabytes of RAM. I got what you were saying. You're thinking that you might have made a bad choice? You have a $200 computer with the 5600G, 16 gigabytes of RAM. Not sure of the motherboard. I have a 5600G here. I can plug into a B550 motherboard anytime I want. It's not a bad CPU. Don't get it wrong. It's not a bad CPU. I ran that with my RTX 4070, which is more powerful than I think the 5060 Ti. So, thinking all that, it's not a. If you got a decent motherboard, you probably could get away with it with the 5060 Ti. But here comes the caveat. 5060 Ti, 16 gigabytes PCIe 5.0 X8, which that would bring it to PCIe 4.0 X16, if you think about it. I know you guys are going to say the PCIe lanes don't matter, and just hear me out. Because if you're running the right motherboard, which probably you can get it, well, if you're running a 5600G, I don't think you can get they don't make 5.0 for AM4 just yet. They don't make it just yet 5.0 for AM4. They're not going to be able to anyway because of the architecture. So that's kind of a tough situation. Now, if you were to get, okay, let's say a 4070 Super, then that might be a better deal. But still, B550 Aorus Elite. Okay. Still, I wouldn't recommend the 5060 Ti. I would recommend either a 30 or 40 series. But a 50 series, I can't see it unless you get it on an X670 or a B850. Oh, that's okay. It's no biggie. We understand. We understand you very well. Okay, if you're doing CAD work and you want to stay on AM4 for like DDR4, you can get away with probably a 5900X, I would say. Or a 5800XT. Or a 5900XT. So if you have a 16 core processor, let me see if they still got them. Let me see if I can pull it up. See if they still got them. Let's see. Yeah, they do. Okay, let's take you back to the action screen. Okay, on Newegg, let me blow this up a little bit better for you. They have a 5900 XT, it's 16 cores. It's a 105 watt CPU, no integrated graphics. They got it for $349. So you might be able to get away with that. They got a 5800 XT for, that's an 8-core 16 thread 105 watt for $200. But if you're doing CAD work, I would take and stick with the 16 core. That's just my opinion. I would stay with the 16 core. But your motherboard will have to have enough voltage regulation modules, VRMs, at least 12 to 14 phase for that to work. So, yeah. Graphics card. If you're doing CAD work, I mean, I know a lot of people are going to say the 3090 Ti's or the 3090s. They're going to tell you that. Or the probably just a shot in the dark. Maybe 4080 Super or something like that. Something like that. But a cheap graphics card, if you're doing CAD work, let's see. Let's go back to the action screen again. 5070 Ti's, $750. They got an Asus Prime. They got a 16 gigabyte 5070 Ti, $750. I wouldn't recommend this. No, I wouldn't recommend the 5070. It's only 12 gigabytes. You would need 16 or better. You would need 16 or better. I wouldn't recommend an 8 gigabyte card. Nope. 5070 Ti's are MSRP right now. So I wouldn't recommend a 5080. That's too steep. For price to performance, that's too steep. We're looking. I don't think you want to spend $2,800 on a that's a liquid cool AIO liquid cooled. So yeah, the 5080s are still too expensive. I mean, you might be able to get on the used market and see what you can get. I mean, they got the 5060 Ti 8 gigabytes, but I'm not recommending that for $400. That's ridiculous. That's totally ridiculous. I mean, they got a 5060 Ti 16 gigabytes for $439. But what bothers me about that is the bus rate on that. And it's only X8. No, this one's X16, my bad. So you could get away with the 5060 Ti for $439. I mean, but that's going to be totally up to you. I mean, just shop around a little bit, but you're going to need 16 gigabytes of you're going to need 16 gigabytes total to do at least any kind of CAD work. You're going to need 16 gigabytes of VRAM. And plus you're going to need at least 64 gigs of RAM, system RAM too. If you're doing CAD work, you're going to need that kind of horsepower. You could get away with 32, but I just didn't want your PC to struggle, so that's why I said 64. This one here's got 64 gigs, so it doesn't struggle. So that's just my opinion. Everybody else has got their own opinion in this world. I just give you my 2 cents on it. Like I tell everybody, you can take it with gold or a grain of salt. That's up to you. But my opinion, I would stick with that route. So, I mean, between the 64 gigs of RAM and the GPU alone, that's going to be around $800. Well, let's say about $600 to $800 in between that range. I don't buy used RAM. And the last time I bought used RAM, it sat on my shelf. And that was DDR3. Because I bought 16 gigs from eBay one time. I plugged it in. None of the sticks worked. I only paid $49 for it back then. But none of the sticks worked. None. So they sat on my shelf collecting dust. So that's why I don't like used. I'm sorry, I'm not a fan of it. Even if I lost that little bit of money, it's the principle of the point. You should be able to buy something off the market without having any problems. Now you got all these scalpers and everything else digging through the garbage, trying to sell garbage on eBay. Some of them, not all of them. You got a few good ones that are on eBay, but some of them are just garbage pickers. And they take and try to sell it on eBay for astronomical prices. That's why they, back when they were doing the 5090s, some people were selling a piece of paper for the same price of a 5090. It's a joke. That's the reason why I took eBay as a joke. I would never buy from there. That's just my opinion. But you can get good sellers. If you contact the seller, and if the seller says, hey, they're prominent, and you look at all the reviews, and make sure they got 5-star reviews. I mean, a lot of them, not a little bit, a lot of them. Then they might be a good seller. But if they don't got a lot of reviews, I would just not even worry about it. So, that's just my 2 cents on eBay. Now with Jawa GG, they have rules. They can't sell anything on Jawa GG unless it's pre-tested and it's sent to them. I guess that's how it works. Or they send the item to them and they pre-test it, and if it fails, they send it back or something like that. And then the seller has to pay the price for shipping, something like that. So if that's the case, if I heard that right, I'm not sure yet, I'm still looking into it, but if that's the case and they take and they ship it into Jawa.gg and they test it before it's sold, that's like gold. Because if they keep, and they say it's great, it's ready to go, nothing's wrong with it, it's been pre-tested, I'm happy with that. But any other time, I'm not going to be happy with that. Just be honest with you guys. I would not be happy at all with something like that. Now, if it's Facebook Marketplace and you're doing it locally, that's a different story. You can go and meet up with the seller, and then you can test it right there. If you got a plug-in power pack and a keyboard, mouse, and a monitor, and you can plug it in and you can see if it works or not right there in the back of your car, that's perfect. That's something I would do. Maybe one day I'll take and get me a van and I'll set it up as a working mobile station to where if I want to go and deal with the eBay, I can always do that. That would be interesting. I was thinking about it, truthfully. So, that's something that might be in my future. You guys never know. I might be thinking about doing it. If fuel prices come down, I might be thinking about doing the mobile travel and going to pick up parts and take you guys along with me and do some videos on that as well. That would be quite interesting. So, we'll think about it for the future and see what that has to hold. We'll see. So, if you guys got any more questions than answers, then let me know. Probably you guys got more questions, you know. A lot of people got more questions, you know, something. But anyway, like I said, it's Scalper Mania on Amazon. Newegg seems to be keeping a cap on what's going on. You know, what we didn't do is we didn't go to Jawa.gg. So, let me see if... Let's see what I can pull up from there. Make sure I don't get a phony site. Okay, so let's go out there and see what's going on. Okay, let's see. We're at Jawa GG. Looks like they got some sold outs. Let's just see. Let's just put GPUs and see what they got. 2060. They got an EVGA for the win. Ultra Gaming. They don't put the details. They put $1,000 on this EVGA for the win. They got $545 on a 5070. They're selling it for a new price. I don't see why. They should be selling that for at least maybe $500. 1660 Super, 3060 Ti for 30. Dell RTX 3060 Ti OEM for $215. I think that's kind of ridiculous. 3070 Ti for $310. They got a 4080 Super for new. See, this is the reason why I don't really talk about Jawa.gg, is because the price of these graphics cards, they sell for almost new prices and they're used. They're selling for almost new prices and they're used. Except for the ones that people don't care about, the cheap ones, and those are going to be less than nothing. But you know, they got this one right here, this ASRock Phantom Gaming for $235. Who knows what it is? It's an RTX something. It doesn't explain the card, so I just shovel right over it. They got a 7600 XT for $330. Okay, you could buy a 9060 XT 16 gigabytes still probably for $389. Why would you buy one of these when you can get one of those? Makes no sense to me. They got a 4080 Super Trinity Black Edition, $950. It's a Zotac, so I'm sorry, I'm not a fan of Zotac. I could be. They could convince me, but I mean, if they convince me that their product's just as good as everybody else, then I'll take them up on that. I'll definitely take them up on that. Hello there, Unoriginal. Good to see you. Good to see you, my man. Well, good to see you. I keep forgetting. Just say good to see you. 3080 Founders Edition 375. If it works, that might not be a bad deal. $40 for a 1050, 4068 gigabytes. They want $300. Why? You can go for $75 more over here and get the 3080. 4070 Ti, $725. Why would you buy a 4070 Ti when you can get a 5070 Ti for $400 or $750? Why would you get a 4070 Ti Super when you can get a 5070 Ti for $25 more? Oh boy. It's one of those days, I guess. 4070 Asus Dual OC White 4070, $575. I wouldn't pay that neither, not for used. Because I bought mine for $599, and it's the same one, but mine's black. PNY $780, 5070 Ti. I mean, 2080 Ti for $300. Nah. Like I said, guys, you gotta do your diligence when you shop. Really do your diligence when you shop. I mean, me, I'm gonna tell you, I'm very picky when it comes to graphics cards. I pick and choose the ones I think are going to be the best. I've been rocking 2 years with my 4070 right here, and it's the Asus Dual RTX 4070. Asus built the card, not NVIDIA. Asus just implemented what NVIDIA was allowed them to do. But mine's the OC model. I've been rocking 2 years with it, not a problem at all. And it doesn't have the 12 volt high power. It has the 8-pin connector. One 8-pin connector, that's all I needed. So it's good. But I've been rocking because you have to understand the PCIe lanes is on that card with the memory is GDDR6X. Mine is GDDR6X, not GDDR6. That's with most of your AMD cards. Mine's 6X. So that means it's 1.5% slower than the GDDR7. So it's 1.5% slower. That's what Samsung's saying. That's what they put out as, to let everybody know. They just said it's 1.5%, or, 1.5% slower. And GDDR6 is 3% slower. So, but I got the 6X. It runs really good. I have no complaints with it. So. Yeah, Mighty, good to see you. Welcome to the channel. You're right. It's over $1,000. On Amazon, they got it like up to about $1,100. That's the going price now because it's being scalped. Not in production. maybe AMD will bring it back into production, and that will eliminate the scalping. We're all hoping that they might, but they might not. So, that's one of it. That's, yeah, pretty much, yeah. Basically, with the RAM shortage, the prices are through the roof, and people are scalping the hell out of CPUs right now, motherboards, everything. So you really, really, really have to watch. Really have to watch when you're buying. Don't buy something that's like overpriced. I can tell you right now, if you look at if the items don't come in a box and it's not sold to by, see, even Amazon I don't even want to recommend. Newegg I would recommend. Right now, my recommendation would be Newegg, because I know Newegg inspects their stuff. They've already went through the scrutiny by Gamers Nexus. So I know they inspect their stuff. So, but Amazon on the other hand, they just don't care. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, the 5800X3D is rare. Just like the 5600X3D, and they stopped production on the 5700X3D. You know, you can't get any one of those, pretty much. It's down to the barrel. Because they're pushing everybody to AM5. That's why they got the 7600X3D. They got the... Me? You want to save a couple bucks, get the 7500F. But if you want for just gaming only, I would look for a deal at Micro Center if you can get your hands on some inland deals from Micro Center. You can get some Micro Center deals and, you know, cook it up there. Let me see if Newegg sells it. Oh, believe it or not, they do sell bundled deals. But you're not going to like the prices. You're not going to like the prices. They only got 2 bundled deals on, and you're not going to like the prices. So, let's see. Mighty says, and welcome to the channel, by the way. Yeah, I only go for the MSRP. Luckily, got my latest CPU on Black Friday deals, like for 300 bucks. I got the 5950X, but mainly use it for 3D design. That's a good deal. It's my second 5950X. Wow. Well, if you get your use out of it, that's not bad. That's not a bad deal. But as long as you're getting at least 3 to 4 years out of it, hopefully, that's even a better deal. So we look at the 5950X. That's $510, my man. Well, actually, no. Well, that looks like a scalper deal. Yeah, the only deal that I can see on Amazon's for like $510. See, Amazon's got it right here for $510. Or you can go the 5900 XT. Oh, I put O's in there. My bad. 00XT. For $349, you can get the 16 core for $349, the 5900 XT. So that's not a bad deal right there. This right here, this is not a bad deal. 16 core, 32 thread processor, 105 watts. This does the same thing as the 5950X. This has no integrated graphics. So this is a perfect deal for DDR4. $349. It's not too bad. So, dang, is that the same price I paid for my first one 5 years ago at $500? Yeah, believe it or not, yeah. But for $349, it's not a bad deal. It's 16 core, 32 thread. See, these CPUs, the 59XT and the 5800 XT, are the two that recently came out, the most recent for AM4 that AMD put out. So it's not back like it's like 4 or 5 years old. It's basically this, it's within 1 year. So $349, that ain't bad, especially running it on a decent motherboard. And the X5, an X570 motherboard, yeah, I think it'll be pretty good. If you get a 14 phase B550 motherboard, you can still run it. I would go 14 to 16 phase to run a 16 core. Lone Hunter, good to see you. Welcome to the channel. Just got a hit with some PBO to get that power limit back up. Yeah, you could use PBO. I'm running the 9700X, and I have mine, my PBO set for gaming right out of the box. So basically, the motherboard is already set for high-end gaming, because I just one-click button on this motherboard and it's gone. Because I got the MSI B850. No, it's MSI Pro B850-P Wi-Fi 7 motherboard. It's got a one-click button, maxes it out, the CPU out, so boom. And I'm off to the race. That's the same thing I did, well, this one I undervolted, but this time I overclocked it. And that's the DDR4 with 64 gigs. I overclocked this one now. And I got the RX 7600 in this one. It was donated from Mr. Machine. I put it in here, and I'm running the test on this. 7600 doesn't seem to be doing too bad, even though that's an 8 gigabyte card. I know. But if it's doing over 60 FPS, 60 to 70 FPS, I'm happy with it. It's an entry-level card, yes. Does it game? To me, it does. Cyberpunk, I don't have a problem with it. I'm trying to test it on Hogwarts Legacy right now to see if it's really going to handle it. I don't think it will, but we'll see. Bought my PC. my PC to work with large language model when I was a complete newbie. It was okay, but I need more RAM and more storage. I considered chance RAM with CL20 and use SSDs. So what is your advice? Oh, that's a big tall ask. I would push for the CL16 or CL18. If you're going to go 3600 megahertz or microtransfers, as they call it, I would go CL16 or CL18. But as pretty much as pushing it beyond that, the sweet spot is the 3600 CL18. So you can run that on a DOCP and pretty much max out the motherboard if it's got 12 to, I would say, 14 phase VRMs. 14 plus 2 plus 2 would be a good one. If you're going to hit it with RAM and you get it used and it works, I would get 64 gigs. Could be a good thing too. But it's kind of a gray area to recommend anything that's on the used market because you never know what you get. If you got an insurance that you get your money back if there's something wrong with it, I don't have a problem with that. But if you're not assured to get your money back, I would look somewhere else and go with a company that you're able to get a refund if there's something wrong with the RAM. I would kind of look for a RAM with a warranty for at least 5 years. This RAM in this computer has a 5-year warranty. I got the warranty 2 years from the factory and 3 years from Amazon. So I got a 5-year warranty on the RAM here. So I did that with all the PC parts that's in this computer. So I got about 2 years left before the warranties are up. So I'm all good with that. Yep, I got a B550 mag in my PC, but I have another motherboard, B550 Gaming Plus, I'm going to use for gaming build. Hopefully super scared overclock, because I understand about being broke. Look, I understand 100% about that. You know, let me tell you what I did. Back about 2 years ago, see this, I bought this motherboard here. This come with the RAM. This is 32 gigs of ECC RAM. This is a Xeon processor. And believe it or not, I can plug pretty much any graphics card into this. This is an X79 motherboard. It's LGA 2011 socket. This one right here, I can run on Windows 11 25H2. I can run on this. You know, I spent in this right here, the whole thing, this whole thing right here, $125 for this. $125. And pretty much I can game with it. I bought it from China. I know you guys are going to say, well, it's kind of, but I went on AliExpress. I went with a prominent seller. I know they was sketchy, but it took me about a month and a half to get it. But I got it. And I had it tested out for 2 years. because I had somebody testing it for me, and they were playing their games and everything and telling me how good or bad it was. Because I didn't want to be the one that was eyeballing the test. I wanted to hear their response. So they said it was pretty good. I mean, they were pretty happy with it. I mean, I know it's a server grade processor with server grade RAM, but sometimes when it comes to it, down to it, guys, you got to do what you got to do to save a buck. Especially if you can't afford parts. You know, at that time, you know, it was plentiful. I could get a couple of them. You know, well, I did try to get a couple of them, and it seems that Customs sent one of them back. I got my money back for it, believe it or not, but, you know, I know that if I'm going to order that kind of combination, it's going to be one at a time. It's not going to be 2 or 3. Make sure you get free shipping, by the way. So, and if you're worried about overclocking, make sure you have enough cooling to do your overclocking. I mean, air coolers, you got to remember, air cooler is inside of the case. And if you don't have enough airflow in your case, then I would not recommend overclocking. Now, if you got a 360 millimeter AIO and it's seated right and you've tested it and it seems to be working correctly, then yeah, I would feel safe with that. Right now, my 9700X is overclocked to the max in the BIOS of the motherboard. But my BIOS of my motherboard is up to date. It's got the newest BIOS in there, and it's up to date. So that's another story you got to think about. You got to make sure that your BIOS is up to date, and make sure you do it. I know everybody says, well, you know, I've seen people have problems with taking it from, let's say, a January 2025 BIOS all the way up to a December BIOS. They just jump from one to the next. I don't do my BIOSes like that. I do it if one's in January, one's in February, one's in March, April, May, June, July. Every month I put in a new BIOS, month by month. I do it that way because I want to be assured that everything's going in fine. So I do each, if it's set on, when I first get the motherboard, it's set on January or February, then I'll go to the next BIOS, I'll look at the numbers, match it up with the motherboard manufacturer, make sure the numbers match on that month, and then go from there and then go up to the next BIOS, and then the next, until I get to the newest BIOS. I've always had great luck like that, but make sure you do not lose power. If you're going to do BIOS upgrades, if you got a battery backup, make sure your computer's plugged into a battery backup. At least you're assured that your BIOS will update with no problem. So, there's a helpful tip to you. If you got a battery backup for your PC, which can be like a line refresher as well, because the way they build the backups now these days, they line refresh. So it keeps your PC without having ripples and stuff in it, you know, and you having like transient spikes and all that. But using a line refresher would take all that out. I know, because I use one. I got it right underneath. So, and if there's any problems, I lose any power, then I have at least a 15-minute window. 15-minute window to make sure the BIOS is updated. So I'm safe. So, yep, running 128 gigabytes of 3600 RAM. Before the RAM shortage, people told me I was dumb to buy 128 gigs, but now Lucked out with the purchase now since the RAM prices went up. Hey, good deal. I got 64 gigs in here. Everybody thought I was stupid. They say, why are you running 32 gig or 64 gigs? Why? Why not? When you're playing games, when I'm playing games, I'm using 22, 23 gigs of RAM with Windows and everything included. So why wouldn't I have 64? Actually, I took the RAM, the system RAM, up to about 28 gigs playing games. The max I ever hit was 28 gigs. So why wouldn't I want 64 gigs? I do content creating and everything else. Video editing, the whole 900 yards, Why wouldn't I want 64 gigs? Running 64 gigs here is like running 32 gigs over on my new computer. Luckily for what I do, the RAM speed does matter. I just need more cores. Yeah, well, I kind of found a happy medium around using 8 cores. It's called shutting the crap off in your computer in the background. Shut off all that crap that's in the background. And then after you get done doing that, then you see your RAM usage lower. When you get your RAM usage down to between 4 and 7 gigabytes of window usage at idle, I tried to get mine down to about 4 gigs. It kind of spikes in between 4 and 7 at idle. So knowing that, that's just Windows alone. So I got to find out what else I can, reduce out of it. But with 64 gigs, it doesn't slow down the computer at all, even with the little stuff that's in the background. This one right here, it doesn't slow down. So, it runs perfect. It's not a bad deal. You got 128 gigs. I mean, you got longevity. You got 5, 7 years, 8 years maybe. There might be coming a time to where you're going to need 128 gigabytes. But for now in the next 10 years, unless Microsoft changes the operating system, making your CPU ineligible for the operating system, that's the only thing I would have to worry about. But even then, you got what? Let me remember. You got Linux. They got new distros coming out with Linux. And also, too, they got a competitor operating system. I'm trying to remember which one it was, that there's going to be a competitor operating system to Microsoft. They're going to be coming out with that. There's talks about that. I want to see that. I really do. And if there is going to be a competitor OS that's going to be automated, but not with all the fluff and crap, I'm not talking about Tiny 11. I'm not talking about Tiny 11, guys. I'm talking about something that's off the reservations of Microsoft. So keep that in mind. It's always good to keep that in mind. Let's see. Let's kind of think outside the box a little bit. We spend all our money on our big PCs, and what happens? The rug gets pulled from underneath us. RAM prices going through the roof. SSD prices going through the roof. CPU prices going wild. Motherboard prices dropping into the toilet. Why? Why? So these companies can make more money? Or are they setting us up for the new generation, the next generation? Are they going to pull the rug from underneath us and say AM5 is going to be no more? That AM6 is going to be on a new motherboard with new type of RAM? You never know. They might pull that rug from underneath us at any time. AMD can do that. You know. And I have a feeling, it's kind of a feeling that they might. So, I don't know what you guys feel about it, but I'm still feeling that AM6 might come on a different motherboard. There's discussion about AM6 for AM5. You know. There's still discussions. But what happens if they pull the rug from underneath us and say, okay, now we're going to put AM6 on, you know, a motherboard with 2,000 pins, 2,100 pins, an LGA 2100. What if they say that? But do remember, there's a 2011 that, you know, that came out of the woodwork for Intel, so they might have to go to a 2100. So, if they come out with the 2100, what are we going to do then? All our PCs that we just got are not going to mean nothing. Because then they're going to stick neural processing on the new CPUs. They're going to be changing the RAM to DDR6. They're going to be changing the PCIe bus from 5.0 to 6.0. You know they're going to be doing all this, and they're going to be wrapping it up in one big bundle. And then by the time we get it, it's going to cost you probably what? $7,000? Because everybody's going to be looking for the best of the best. Right now, you're spending like what, $5,100 for the best of the best. Now you're going to be spending what, $2,000 more for the best of the best. And when it comes to the mid-grade, you're probably going to be spending about what, $2,300, $2,400 for mid-grade, maybe $2,600. And for low end, you might be spending like maybe $1,700. I don't want to see this happen, but the way the companies are talking, we don't really have much of an option. Especially what they're doing of screwing us on the pricing by pulling back from the community, jacking the prices up for data centers, and then saying, okay, well, since they're paying this for data centers, now the consumer can pay the same thing. Even though that the consumer has paid them. The governments are paying them of the consumer money. So we're paying them to charge us more. It's ridiculous. Yeah, I don't know what to do. I want to wait, but it seems like buy when you can, as early as possible is better. Yeah, true. But I'm not buying anything. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not buying nothing right now. Not until I see prices come down. After I've seen all this drama field. And this is not fear-mongering. I showed you guys all this BS that's going on right now. And I showed it to you live. So this is not fear-mongering. This is the truth. Okay? The only place I really see that is really doing well is Newegg. That's all I'm going to tell you. I see really good right now is Newegg. Okay? To me, I think that's a better deal. So, Because you notice with Newegg, the prices are creeping up little by little. Not much, but just little by little. Not like Amazon. It's the Wild Wild West on Amazon. So I don't know what they're doing. I am backing away from Amazon right now. Newegg, I'm focused on right now to see what they're going to do. Keeping price check on them just to see what they're selling and see how the price is trending right now. That's what I'm looking at. So far I can see it's just creeping up just slowly on Newegg. Amazon, it just shot through the roof. It went from bottom end all the way up through the roof. That's the Wild Wild West over there on Amazon. So I'm not recommending it. I mean, Newegg I can recommend because I can see it's not like that. And also, too, they keep a close eye on their sellers. I'm glad they do. So, that's just my opinion. I give it to you. You guys can look it up. Do your homework. And make sure you do your research before you buy to make sure you're getting the right seller for the right price. It's not going to cost you an arm and a leg. Just my opinion. Be safe when you buy. It's getting close to Christmas time. We got a couple days left. You know, Christmas Eve is tomorrow night. So, yeah. The scalpers are going to be out until New Year's. Do expect that. And after New Year's, when they start dropping the prices, because CES is coming around the corner, you know the prices are going to start dropping. And then they're going to stay stagnant all the way through CES and about a couple months after that. And then they're going to shoot up and then come back down. So we all know the legit routine of that. So, we in the gold rush or something for PCs? Yeah, I do agree. We are in the gold rush. We are in the gold rush. I mean, if we look at it, the system RAM, your system, your SD RAM, it's like gold right now. 128 gigabytes is how much? 128 gigabytes is how much? It's well over $1,000. It's well over $1,000 for the crappiest DDR5. I mean the crappiest. So I don't get it. I've been doing this for 3 decades. Building PCs and everything else for 3 decades. I have never, ever, ever seen it like this. This is totally, totally ridiculous. Totally. You might be right. We were talking about RAM and power supply, and I want to share a story. My RAM wasn't working stable unless it's 2400 or less. Wow. 2400 or less, that's not good. I tried everything. It was 24-pin fault. I wasn't plugged in properly. Well, at least you caught it. At least you caught it and you fixed the problem. Motherboard, it will help anyone. Yeah, make sure that, you got 2 plugs. Grab this again. Just as an example. Okay, now you got an 8-pin right here. This is an EPS 8-pin. This is for your CPU, and your 24-pin right here. Make sure that's fully seated and plugged in. I do agree with you. Good tidy tip for everybody. Make sure it's plugged in. Because if not, it won't work. You'll run into a bunch of problems. And also, too, you could run into a motherboard short if you're not getting the right ground from, the certain pins. You can run into a VRM short. You can end up doing that if you don't fully seat it. So make sure you're fully seated so you don't run into that problem. What happens is if you don't have a ground, the hot's going to pull from where? The closest source to ground. And it's going to go through all your components to get to a ground stage. And if you got the ground stage through your EPS, your CPU connection, and you don't get a ground through the motherboard, through the 24 pin, it can pull all the way through your CPU and burn it out. So do be careful. So, hello there, Static. Good to see you. Welcome to the channel. I got lucky and upgraded my old AM4 PC with DDR4, 64 gigs of RAM. Then last year I upgraded to AM5 5950X3D, 96 gigs, CL28, and a 5090. That's awesome right there. Hey, I got my RAM right here is 32 gigs, 6000 megahertz, CL28. So I don't need anything more than that for this because I got 64 gigs over here and I got 32 here. This runs fine. I mean, I'm only pulling like maybe 16 gigabytes when I play the games. For this one, I pulled 23 to 28 on this, but that's got 64 gigs. This got 32, so yeah. But I work as a dev, so I bought early because I predicted the hardware prices would be up from tariff, not from RAM. Well, it's kind of the opposite right now, my friend. It's the companies doing this. It's not the tariffs. That's where everybody got confused. The tariffs were put on hold. I was sitting there thinking to myself, the tariffs are on hold, but these companies are jacking up the prices with the tariffs on hold. Now, the tariffs that's based upon it has nothing to do with PC technology right now. That's the thing. It has nothing to do with PC technology right now. So if you look at it, it's the companies doing this now. They just done admitted. Now hear me out. They just done admitted Samsung, SK Hynix, and I don't even want to say the other one because that's part of Crucial. And Crucial's discontinued. So, I don't really... I mean, I got a Crucial hard drive in here, It's just sad to see them discontinue such a good hard drive, I think. So, my concern, this will hurt gaming for 2 years at least. Not really. People have already bought what they're going to buy. When it comes to RAM and everything else, everybody's bought what they could. So basically, there are some people that might not got on the deal, but most of them did. So the ones that are going to be sitting on standby is the 90%. 10% might have not have got on the deal, but 90% did. So what's going to happen with these companies is that they're going to find out that this data center crap is not going to handle it. They're not going to be able to handle it. They're going to lose it. And they're going to be stuck with a whole bunch of chips. And then what do you think's going to happen? They're going to come back squirreling to us and say, please buy our stuff, please, please, please. And they're going to end up having to sell it to us at wholesale price. The price they paid to make it in order to get rid of it. And then the prices are going to be tanked. That's what I'm going to see. And I guarantee that's what's going to happen. While they're sitting there squirreling their investment over there with data centers, they made the biggest mistake in the world, and they started pushing away from the gamers. You think they said they're only going to pump out 70% to the community? No. Try it's the other way around. 30%. That's why the prices are so high right now. They're only pumping out 30% to the community. But I'm going to tell everybody, wait to buy RAM. Let them squirrel on it. Wait. If you've already bought your RAM, just wait. Hold on to what you got. Because I guarantee they're going to start hurting, because their investors are going to see them pull away from the communities. You know, the people that got them there, they're going to see that. And guess what's going to happen? Hate to tell you, they're going to come back crawling to the gamers and the community, the PC community. They're going to come back crawling. And they're going to come back begging, pleading for everybody to buy. And I can see it right now. Everybody's going to be giving them big finger and say, yeah, we'll buy. When you start selling DDR5 at about what? $50 for every what? For every 16 gigs. So you can get 32 gigs for $100. I'm waiting to see this, and I have a feeling this is going to happen. I think this happened a long time ago, if I remember right. They tried to do this with DDR2. I think so. If I remember right. It's a long time ago, though. But they tried to do that with DDR2. They tried to triple the price on the DDR2 compared to DDR. Everybody said, not happening. So, well, China has rare earth monopoly. If not available, or NA decides to play chicken, global market, the issue. Well, but you failed to mention right now, the United States has rare earth. Australia has rare earth. Philippines and a couple other countries that already made a deal. That already made a deal with the United States for the United States to buy at a better price. So don't think that we're, the United States totally out, because we know with those rare earths, it's going to go to Japan, and Japan's going to make it, and, it's going to be a better distribution for a cheaper price. I hear things. And right now, that's what's on the chopping block. You can still game properly on DDR3, like 3060, still enough for 1080p. If you want to play big, you pay big. Yeah, I agree. It's bad, but it's okay. True. I do have DDR3 here somewhere. Let me get my magic box out. Ugh. See, I got it in a box that's called Fix Me Stick. I tried this out a long time ago just to test it. It was a bunch of bullshit. Yeah, let me remember. How much RAM do I need? How much RAM do you think I need? I mean, how much RAM do you think I need? This is just one box. This isn't all of my RAM. So, yeah. Ugh. Get back in there. Get back in there. Yeah. If I really wanted to sell RAM, don't you think I got enough here that I can make a good chunk of change on it? Oh, hell. Who cares? Screw it. There's one thing I do hope with this hardware shortage that the gaming companies now have to optimize their games for older existing hardware. I do agree, and I think some of them are already starting to do that because hardware manufacturers are starting to put a little bit of pressure, from what I'm hearing, on some of the devs. I'm not sure if they're doing it with all, but I heard they're doing it with a couple to get them to optimize the games a little bit better because of the shortage, and I hope it goes through. I really do. And I know there's a couple devs that's on, the live stream right now, and we do appreciate you, just to say, because I know that you guys work hard on the games and stuff like that. But I know you understand with some of the gamers that are out there, the consumers, the 60% that can only afford older systems, that if you optimize the games a little bit more and give a little bit more back to the 60%, they would appreciate it even more. And they would start probably purchasing those games if it's suitable for their PCs. And some of them are running older PCs, like 8, 10, 12 years old. So, I mean, some are still running, 1030s? GTX 1030s? Stuff like that. So, but they would appreciate it. I know I would. I would definitely appreciate it if I was in their shoes. I mean, I got, my next door neighbor loves the game, but he tells me, why should I buy a game that is not optimized? He's right. Why should he buy a game that's not optimized? Why it's not giving better performance for the older hardware? So, Embark is one I know. Valve, yep. I work as C++ engineer in Unreal Engine. Isn't exactly fully modern at the foundation core, which companies have customized versions of game engines with features turned off. Well, yeah, I know. I have sampled into Unreal Engine, and truthfully, I wish Unreal Engine, it's going to take time. I do respect that. It's going to take time to flourish the Unreal Engine to make it better and more efficient. I understand. It's going to take time. It's not something, and believe it or not, it's just like when you build a new graphics card. It's not done overnight. It takes time of testing and tweaking and, a whole 900. I do understand how it works. And that's respected, believe it or not. I respect that. Because when you gotta tweak and tune it and just make it work just right on the low-end graphics cards and CPUs and platforms, that takes a long time because you got to write the code just to make it work just right. I know it's a hard thing to do. I'm not the kind of person that, I used to do MS-DOS years ago, but I gave it up. I gave up coding. I don't do coding anymore. I'll be honest with you, I won't do coding anymore. My brain capacity is fried from that stuff. So, yeah, Borderlands 4 make me cry seeing only 60 FPS. I thought they optimized that. Come on. I heard they optimized that. Did they not optimize it? Come on. It needs a cleanup, so ops architecture also needs GPU driven graphics pipeline. Yeah, I agree. Chaos is also not as performant as PhysX was. I do agree with that. I was bummed that with the RTX 50 series, they took away the PhysX 32-bit from that. I was bummed as hell. But I'm running the 4070, so I got PhysX 32-bit. So, but hey, I'm not bummed anymore. They did bring it back to some of the games, but not all of them. For the 50 series, you are getting a couple, but not all of them just yet because they got to start all over again. That's a shame. But at least I'm getting it for the 4070. I'm happy with that. Ken Silverman was a genius with Duke Nukem engine. I do agree with that, believe it or not. They fixed that, by the way, for PhysX on the 5090. Well, I'm glad they did, believe it or not, there, Mr. Static. I'm glad they did. Hopefully they did for all the games. You know how much FPS was being lost because they cut off the PhysX 32-bit? Do they not think that PhysX is a part of the graphics? Even if it's not being used, it's still being part of it, is being used. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong about that. You know I'm not. You still need PhysX for the waving of, your static items. You still need it. Tell me I'm wrong. Because I've already tested PhysX on mine, and it runs just fine. Obviously, nobody's really going to comment on that. Yeah, I'm running the 4090. Still glad I can play mostly everything at 120 to 240 FPS. There you go. That's about what I'm doing with mine. Mine will go from... I'm playing at 1080p, guys. Okay? I'm playing at 1080p. I can admit it. 1080p, 60 FPS monitor. I'm still having a great time with my 1080p. It doesn't tax my 9700X as much. The most I've... On the 9700X CPU, the most it went up to is 30%. Everything else is running in between 10 and 18%. And my GPU is still at 100%. So, I think I got a really good deal. I really do. Are GPU prices going to rise again? Yeah, they are. The reason why is because of the VRAM. Because of what NVIDIA did with the VRAM, AMD might not happen right away. Because AMD is still providing to the AIB partners. So I don't think it's going to happen that right away with AMD. But NVIDIA's already admitted, they already told their AIB partners to go source their They're VRAM chips from another person because they're not going to be selling to them anymore. They're hoarding those chips. So, is NVIDIA going to exit the game market and not even bother with the Super? Well, truthfully, I don't think they're going to bother with the Super. Not unless you're going to wait until middle of or the end of, well, about the Q3 of 2026. Are you really going to wait? Are you really going to wait for Q3 of 2026 to get a Super when they could be coming out with the 60 series? I really don't think you're going to be looking at the Super after that. I mean, if they were going to have the Super out, the Super would have been launched this year. Q3 of this year should have been launched. But it didn't because of all this hoarding that they're doing. And they don't really care. They do not care at this point. They're a $5 trillion company. They don't care anymore. They don't care about me. They don't care about anybody in the community. I'm going to tell you right now, if they did, then they would have stopped all this horse shit, and they would have actually put back into the community. They would have said, okay, we're going to put the brakes on. They're going to put the brakes on the AI data centers, and they're going to start taking care of the GPU, the PC community. They didn't do that. What did they do for the last, what did they do for the last 3 years? What did they do for the last 3 years? Screwed on the prices. Screwed everybody on the prices for the last 3 years. It took, the 4070 itself, I know I got it, $600 for a year and a half at the same price. Don't you think after a year it was time to be dropping the price? Took a year and a half for them to drop it down to $550. And by then they come out with the 4070 Super and ran it at $609 while they're still running the 4070 at $600. Jeez, stupid. That's all I'm going to say. It's dumb. So if you bought a 5090, then basically you got a return on your investment. If you go to sell it right now, yeah. But it would have to be, since they were going rate from the time they launched until now, they were going at about $3,500. Instead of the $2,000 MSRP they were supposed to be at. And the only ones you got at $2,000 MSRP was at launch, but they were crappy ones. The ones that are not overclocked models. So, yeah, you got your hands in the basic crap ones. So, yeah, I play 1440p. Too scared to cook my GPU on 4K. Maybe next upgrade, and I'll run in 4K. I'll tell you what, a lot of people are happy with the 1440p. Just stick with it. I'm truthfully, I wouldn't even go any higher than 1440p. I bought the 165 hertz LG 5K 2K ultra wide. God bless you. I know that must have hurt buying that thing. I'm glad you enjoy it though. If for the price, if you enjoy it, that's all that matters. I think they could, if they could, wanted to do the AI server market and still be able to provide for consumer market. They should be able to. But the problem is that they're not breaking the two off. They're not taking a couple companies, making the chips for like Corsair and all the rest of them. They should be taking and breaking that off if they're going to do that, but they're not. They killed Crucial. And Corsair and the rest of them are going to be bleeding dollars. They're going to be bleeding money right now. And they're not going to be buying as much. And you're not going to be seeing as much. And the prices are going to be jacked. This is what they predicted. And it was a positive prediction. Rocking a 4070 Super and a 5950X. Things are ripping hard. There you go, Mogo. Good for you. As long as you're happy with it, that's all that matters. Who is even buying 5090s? No idea. From what I heard, there's people that are really not buying them right now. Some might for trading, for buy and resell. But that's pretty much it. The consumers pretty much had it with the 5090. Because they know they can't pay for it at that price. Your typical 60% of the consumer market right now, they're not looking at the 5090s. They're more or less looking at the 5070s or the 5070 Ti. Or even the 5060 Ti 16 gigabyte. But NVIDIA decided they're going to kill the 5060 Ti 16 gigabyte and the 5070 Ti 16 gigabyte. They're going to kill both of them and put them on hold for now. So whatever's on the market, that's it. The price is going to go up on those two graphics cards alone. And 9 out of 10 chances, NVIDIA is just going to take and discontinue them altogether. We already know that's going to happen. Because they're already trying to work out the 60 series. And the 60 series is still going to be running GDDR7 because Micron's not going to be making GDDR7X like they made GDDR6X. Micron's not making GDDR7X. They've already said that. So we're kind of stuck with GDDR7 for the next generation. What kind of deal are we going to get there? Absolutely nothing. We're going to get absolutely nothing on the deal. You're going to get a refresh of another 50 series is what you're going to get. That's it. Another refresh. So, obviously myself, but I work in game devs. That's cool. I mean, I got no problem with you working in, with the devs, man. I think the devs are pretty cool myself. But all my subscribers tell me this. They say, Jay, please put a positive note out to the devs and say, hey, can you please optimize it for older hardware? That's all they tell me. They send me emails of this all the time. So I just say, hey, devs, I'm getting a lot of emails. People are asking me, please, older hardware, please, better optimization, please. That's what they're saying. So I'm just repeating what they're saying. I'm being their mouthpiece at this point and just repeating what they're saying. That's God honest truth. I'm too old to be, blowing smoke up people's asses. I'm going to tell you right now, that's not how it works here on my channel. I'm not here to blow smoke up your ass. I'm here to tell you the truth. Simple as that. $5090s or 3K, oh, insane. Yeah, they are insane at 3K. $3,500 right now. If you didn't hit it on the Black Friday when they went down to $2,000, then you're SOL. Unless you want to spend $3,500 or $3,000. It's not worth it. My 4070 is worth it more to me because I can still get the same performance, I think. Because of the software. Because of the software that shares with the 50 series. I can still get that close to the same performance that the 50 series gets with the 40 series. So I'm glad I invested in the 40 series because I can get that same performance. I don't mean like the 4X frame generation. I don't need 4X frame generation. If I want that, what's that ducky kind of thing on Steam? That ducky that you can buy for $7 and get like 20X and all that. I don't need all that. I don't need all that frame generation. I really don't. Because I'm getting over 100 FPS on my 4070. Why would I need all that extra frame generation? I don't. So, just saying, just being real. Well, NVIDIA said they're cutting production 30-40%. Yeah, I do agree. Starting with the 5060 and the 5070. Yep. The TIs. I heard it was the 60 Ti and 70 Ti. They're not really going to be hitting the 8 gigabyte ones. It's the 16 gigabyte ones they're going to be hitting. Thing about optimization, it requires skill and time. I do agree with you. I know it does. And look, the devs out there know, I know it takes a couple years to get things just perfect. I know, and every month you got to keep up on it and stuff. I know it's respected. Trust me, I do respect that. I know it takes time. Everybody has to be patient. I'm patient. All I do is be a mouthpiece for the consumer, and they tell me what, and I just relay the message. I'm just the messenger. Don't kill the messenger. So, most management or leadership that pay these people don't understand that upfront engineering cost. Yeah, I know. They don't understand that when it comes to you know, being able to sit down with a group, tying everything in, working all the details out, it takes years. I know they don't understand. They want it to take seconds. It's not going to take seconds, especially when you're trying to do it right. They don't see, big companies don't understand that. $6090 is probably going to be at least 2K on launch. I think it might be more than 2K. I think it might be close to like 4K. Especially if they're going to give it 96 gigabytes of VRAM. If they're going to do that, it's going to be around 4K. Most likely. I have a feeling they're going to discontinue the 5090 soon too. Yeah, that's possible. 4090 was sold for like 2 years, and now they don't make them anymore. Yeah, they don't. Because here's the reason why. In 2026, NVIDIA, from what I'm hearing from reliable sources, that NVIDIA is considering in 2026 putting the 40 series on legacy drivers. So no more game updates in 2026, middle of 2026 sometime. That they're going to put them on legacy drivers. So basically you get like once or twice critical updates a year for your 40 series. So your 40 series is pretty much going to be put on the back burner when they come out with the 60 series. So if you got the 50 series and they do the discontinue, you'll be lucky for a couple more years that you'll have driver updates, and you'll have game updates. But the 40 series looking like that it's going to be put on the back burner in 2026. That's the rumor that's going on right now. So you take it either take the rumors with a grain of salt right now, because that's what I'm doing, taking it with a grain of salt. But I hear it, and a lot of people are talking about it. So that might be something to consider as well. So I'm glad you guys stuck around with me tonight. It's been appreciated. But the thing is this, okay? We're going to have more live streams and everything else. Make sure you guys, subscribe to the channel. Help me out. Keeps me going. Keeps me looking up this information for you guys. Keeps me motivated. If you hit the subscribe button. And if you really want to help us out, hit the positive like button. Or you just remember, you get a notification bell, turn it on, so that way you'll know when I post for live streaming and for videos, content. I put it out there. I put out as much as I can. You guys know I got over 900 videos already out there. So we're trying to approach 1,000 videos. We're getting there. I'm just taking my time right now. But anyway, guys, I do appreciate everybody being here, and we do appreciate you. And I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holiday. Because Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, I will not be posting anything. It's a holiday. I want everybody to enjoy their holiday instead of having to watch a video. Well, no. Yeah, you got plenty of videos to watch, guys. You could go back and watch all the videos you want. Okay? And you probably haven't watched some of them, so you got a long binge night. If you want to have a binge night, you got a lot of videos to look at, so can do that too. But the 24th and 25th, I'm kind of, reserving that for real life. So, but we do appreciate you guys as always. I'm going to get out of here, and I hope that you guys enjoyed the live stream tonight. I enjoyed the discussion. It's been a really good one, and I want to keep this going because we got a lot more to talk about that's going to be coming up sooner or later. And we got CES coming up, and we got many things coming up, so make sure you guys stick around for that. I'm still taking in consideration that AMD sent me a link for the conference in CES, so I'm kind of glad that they reserved me a spot. So we got to take that in consideration too. Got a lot of things cooking, guys. We got a lot of things cooking. So you're welcome, Mighty. You're welcome, and thank you for sticking around and chatting with me as well. Like I said, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I know I kind of do it wrong every time, but hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, and don't forget about the notification bell so you know when I post the next video or live stream. Until the next time, and the next video, you guys know what it is, and we'll see you on the next video or live stream. Have a good one. Have a nice Merry Christmas, and stay safe. Bye-bye, guys.